Hello. So yeah, let's start our takedown section where we will animate two rigs on a takedown action. So one rig will attack the other one. And in order to do this, I want to start by showing you guys, which is a mix of teaching and also a tip for your future in your first jobs, uh, about how studios manage to work with files. What I mean is we have layout files, we have rig files, and how we combine all of this in the animation department in order to work with them and update whatever is needed, which is absolutely common. It happens a lot. And so you guys are prepared, okay, to work with reference. So I'm going to talk about the difference between the import option and the reference option. And basically, you can start using reference for the rest of your lives because this is going to be really, really useful. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so I'm here with my Maya open. It's new scene. I have nothing open actually. So when you are in a studio and an animation working as animator, you're going to receive a layout file, and layout of the animation will be done for you. So I'm going to open this layout file. I'm going to go to open, I create a layout folder, and we have the layout file here. So take down version 1. I'm going to open this, and when you receive a layout file and your job, you have basically everything in there. All the objects, elements of the environment, and also camera. Sometimes you have your rig inside. But anyway, let's say we only have our uh, elements that we do our layout. I don't have a camera here, but let's pretend we have a camera done. And you basically work with that. You don't change anything unless it's requested by the animation, by let's say your rig will hold an object and change its place. Other than that, objects will stay in place. And why that? Because of the story, there is story being told. So objects are in the right place in that story. It gotta make sense that the objects are in the same place for all the shots, okay? And you're gonna work with one shot. Anyway, so we have our layout done here, and let's pretend we have a camera. I don't have one here, so we're gonna use the perspective view. But anyway, next step is I don't have a rig here, so I'm gonna bring a rig here. And this is when I'm gonna tell you the difference between import and reference. Okay, I will, for now, import so I can show you one thing. Like if I go to my Files Explorer, we're gonna see the layouts and the rig folder. And when I go inside the layout folder, I have the takedown file here. And let me show you. Okay, here is the size of the file. So this file is very light and 289. And okay, so when I import a rig, and let's go to the rigs folder. Here it is. So the rig is not heavy, but it's a way heavier than the layout. So 12,000. When I go to my scene, it's only 289. Okay, so when I import a rig, and I'm gonna do that. So I go to import, and I'm going to my rigs folder, and I'm going to import the rig version 1. I will import it. And now the rig is part of my, let me turn off the grid. It's part of my scene. It's literally part of my scene in a way that it is inside my Maya file and has absolutely no connection with the rig Maya file, you know? So I'm gonna group, because this is all from the rig, I'm gonna group this as rig import group. I'm gonna save this file, save my takedown file. And if I go back to my File Explorer, the Windows Explorer, I go to my layout folder and see the takedown file has increased to 8,000. I don't know why it's not 12,000, but anyway. Um, oh, I know why. Because the rig version 1 is .ma and the layout is .mb. MB simplifies a lot, so it's probably because of that. Anyway, you see the takedown file is a lot larger than before, okay? Because now the rig is part of my layout file. It's inside it and has no connection with the rig file. I can do whatever changes I want to my rig file. It's not going to affect the rig inside my takedown file, my layout file, okay? Um, and now, you know what? I'm going to remove this. So we're going to select and delete it. And I'm going to save, go back to the layout folder so you guys can see the size of the file has gone down again. And I'm going to create a reference instead. So I'm going to go to File and I can create reference, or I can open my reference editor, which is a new window, and I have options inside that window. And I'm going to do that. So reference editor, I open it, it's empty for now because I don't have any reference in this scene. And I'm going to create one. I can go to File, Create Reference, or I can go to this blue diamond with a plus here. Okay? And I'm going to show you why a blue diamond as well. So I click it on it, and I have my two folders, layout and rigs. And of course, I go to the rigs folder, and I'm going to open my rig version 1. Okay? So I select the file and I click on reference, and visually, it's going to be exactly the same in my scene. Okay, so this is exactly the same what we had before. No changes at all. But when it's a reference, there is this little difference. Two difference here in my Maya uh, when I open and see it. First, we have blue diamonds, and this is why we have a blue diamond here. Blue diamonds indicate what is referenced. And so it is in my scene, of course, I'm seeing it, but at the same time, it's connected. And at the same time, and somehow it's not in my scene. And I'll tell you, explain how that works. But anyway, when you see a blue diamond in your outliner close to the thumbnail, and I can just select both of these and group as well. So rig group. Let me open this. When you see blue diamonds in the outliner, you know those elements are referenced. Okay, so there's an external file connected to this. And you're gonna see as well that there is a namespace. What is a namespace? It's like a prompt. It's like a name that they have, and it's makes this rig unique. So the namespace for this rig in the scene is rig underscore version 1. So if I open Outliner, all the elements here will have this namespace. You're going to see rig underscore version 1 and what's the name of this again? It's, I don't know, 2 points, 2 dots. Okay, so, and when you go to the reference editor, let's go back to this window. You're gonna see this is actually a list. This would be a list, but right now it has only one element, but it shows the list of reference that you have in your scene. And right now we only have one, of course. And when you select it, you can see some things here, like the path to the Maya file, where the connected file is, and the namespace of this one. Like this one is rig underscore version 001. Okay, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add a because we're gonna uh, identify this in different ways in the future. Okay, so this is rig version 1A, and you can see here in the outliner has changed as well. Anyway, we can do a lot of things with this. If you right click here, or if you go to the top menu, you can see, especially in this reference menu, that there's a lot of options, including duplicate reference, replace reference. You can replace this for a different file, reload the reference. Let's say you made changes to your rig file and you want to reload this, so you update the changes. So there's a lot more that we can do this if we compare to the import. Because when you import a file, when you import a rig, that rig will be part of your scene from that moment on, and there will be no changes. So every change you make to the rig file, um, the rig inside the layout file, the rig inside the takedown file will suffer no changes at all. And in our case, when you reference something, this is connected to the rig file and you have control of that. Okay. Uh, and let me show you just one thing. So I'm going to save this. So my takedown scene, my takedown version 1 scene now, it's save it. It has the layouts. The layout is part of the scene and it has the rig referenced here. Okay, so what I want to show you is if I go again to the file explorer and I will even, yeah, even do a refresh. So F5, uh, you see my layout file is still small. Now I have this rig inside and I save it. And my Maya file for the takedown, the layout file, is still small. And why that? Because Maya does not consider this rig, the meshes, the controllers, the rig itself, everything, it doesn't consider as part of the scene, you know? The only thing that Maya is considering is there is a reference. There is the information only about the reference. So if I animate this, if I do whatever I want with this rig, Maya will save this animation information in this file, but not the rig information. So let's say I close this file. I close this takedown file. When I open again, my rig will not be in the Maya file, but Maya will know that there is a rig reference. So Maya will load the rig again from the rig file and will bring the rig. But the animation will be saved. So the rig will come and at the same time you'll have the animation applied. So the rig will go to this exactly position. What happens if I close this layout file, I change the rig file, and then I open again the layout file? Whatever change you have to your rig there, it's gonna change here. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys this. So, uh, okay, in order to have a takedown animation, we're gonna need 2 rigs, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I have this layout file with this rig, and okay, I will just save as it is, and I will bring the second rig. But in order to do that, I will do this before. I will open the rig file first. So this is my rig file. I will save this as rig version 2, and I will change the color of this. So I will select the geo. I select it here in the outliner, and I will just apply a new material. Okay, so assign new material. I select lumber because I want a very basic material. I will call it lumber version 2, and I will change the color to magenta. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have done this before. I believe so, but anyway, I just made a really simple change of shader. Okay, it's created a new one. So my rig version 2 is now magenta. I didn't change anything else. No changes to the geo, to the meshes, no change to the controllers, because I don't want to go into that. But I changed it just the color. Okay, so we're going to save this, and then I'm going to open my layout again. So my takedown file. And when I open this, you're going to see my rig is still in gray. And why that? Because if you paid attention, I created a rig version 2 when I changed the color. And this reference, it's still rig version 1. Okay, so I'm going to create a new reference. I'm going to go to the diamond, blue diamond, create a reference, and I'm going to bring rig version 2, and I will reference this. So when I bring a second rig, and this second rig is version 2, let me just change this. Okay, when I bring the second rig, and the second rig is the version 2, I selected rig version 1. So now I have one rig version 1 and one rig version 2. Okay, so you guys can see the list here growing, and one of them is version 2, and the other one, all right, one is version 1 and the other one is version 2, and we have control of this. I could go, let's say, to version 1, and I could replace this. So I go right click, reference, where is it here? Replace reference, and I could select version 2. So you would have two of them as magenta. But I will do this. I think I cannot undo this. Anyway, I can't. But I will keep one of them as version 1. Okay, so I will select the rig version 1, and I replace it. Again, it is version 2 now, but I replace it for back to version 1. I can just come here and do this because I know this is going to work. I can delete, write 1, hit enter, and I know it goes back to version 1. There we go. So let me remove this A. We're not going to use this. So rig version 1 and rig version 2. And you guys can see here in the outliner that the namespace for rig version 2 is as version 002. Okay, I can throw this, uh, let me rename this as a rig version 1. And I will group the other one as rig version 2. And yeah, that's it. So that's the difference between import and reference. Reference is a very detailed and professional import where you have control of a lot of things. You can replace, you can update, you can, if you want, let's say you have a scene that is full of rigs. Sometimes you have scenes like an animated a scene in the last days that had 12 spiders. I had to animate the 12 spiders. It's very heavy. So what I can do is I just uncheck here and it's still there. The animation was not deleted. Everything is there. It's just not loaded. Okay. So it's very, very light to work. It's not laggy when I play Blast or when I hit play. Anyway, so you have control of a lot of stuff here um, when you have it referenced, and especially when we have updates. Remember or keep in mind that when you work on a studio, you have departments before animation. You have modeling departments. Actually, the modeling department and the rigging department, they also use the reference a lot because some parts of what they're doing uh, must be referenced because the element being referenced is being made by a different department and or a different artist, and they have to work with it in a way that it can be updated. And that's what I was saying. Like animation, we receive a rig with a model and the rig, the controllers and everything, and we will start working. But the model itself and even the rig will keep getting updates. Sometimes updates because riggers want to improve the rig, creating new controllers. Sometimes updates because the modeling supervisor wants to improve some part of the model, or the most common is client wants some change in the model. So let's say we are working on this rig, we are doing animation of this takedown, and they send this to the client in Los Angeles, and the client says, "Okay, I don't like this ear. I want this ear to be larger." So what's going to happen? You have already started the animation. So the modeler will get this note from the client in LA. They're going to change the ear and they're going to continue their work. So they change the ear, they send it back to the client in LA, and the client will say, okay, now it's good, but you're still working on animation. It doesn't matter to you because as soon as the model is updated with a client approval, the change was approved, the model will get an update. So they will publish this change. So the rigger will get the model change. The rig will update on their end. Like there's, let's say we have an ear controller. So the rigger will adjust the controllers for the ear. And then the rig will get an approval on the change. And as soon as the rig change is approved, you continue to animate in all of this at the same time, but you update your rig in order to see the ear change in your scene. So you're going to have the animation done, all the poses, not done, but in progress, and you're going to have everything in your scene. It didn't change whatever you're doing, but you're going to update here the rig by replacing it for with a new version, and then you're gonna see the ear change, but all of your animation will keep the same. You don't lose, you don't waste your work. It's time saving for everyone. And this is absolutely common. Like all studios work this way. All studios work in a way that the modeling and rigging and animation and even departments after animation, like you're gonna send your animation to the effects department. So they create, let's say, um, the fabric's physics, or let's say we have grass, and this grass will react to your animation. Or let's say we have hair. So there are departments after animation, even the light and render department. You get your animation and start doing some renderings. And let's say client change your animation. So you're gonna make this change, and you're gonna publish, you're gonna export your animation again, and all the departments after you, you get this change and you update their work. Okay, so it's like a factory, it's like a pipeline. We call it pipeline actually. So this is how it works. Okay, and for animators, and not only animators, but several departments, we should use referencing, the reference option instead of the import. So we have control to update all of this. Okay, so I have here my two rigs. I have my layout scene, my two rigs are referenced. I will save this, save my scene with the two rigs, and I'm going to start doing my blocking for my takedown. Okay, and this is as simple as doing the parkour. Just so you guys know, I have two rigs now, and I save in my file. And take a look. The takedown file is still small because again, the rigs are not there. They're just reference. Okay, so I'm gonna do the blocking for my takedown animation, right? Uh, I'm not going to make you guys watch me blocking, and I'm gonna do um, just a first attack so you guys can see because I want to show you guys one thing. Okay, so I'm gonna pause my recording here, but in a few moments I'm gonna go back with the poses. Thank you. And okay, so I have animated here just the first blocking, and I wanted to show you guys just a new thing and a reminder. Okay, the new thing is when you're doing animation, and I'm doing this, the rig version 1, which is on the left, it has a first, I'm selecting one. It has a first key pose, which is the neutral pose, and then it goes to a preparation pose, and then it goes to the punch pose. This would be a contact pose. So it's the frame where we have it's the first frame with contact. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. Keep in mind that when we have, if you choose the contact pose as a key pose, so if you choose this pose to make your key, uh, think like the first frame that we see the punch, the other rig, the rig that is being attacked, he has no um, reaction at this frame. When I say reaction, of course, this rig may be trying to dodge or how's it called, deflect, and there is a human reaction, but there is no physical reaction yet. Okay, so when I do the pose for my contact, which is this one, I don't do a reaction on the rig, something, the other rig, something like this, because this didn't happen yet at this frame. So for this pose, we may have this rig trying to avoid or trying to do anything, but in terms of physical reaction to the punch, it didn't happen yet. Okay, so we can have something like this, of course. We can have any try to avoid this contact or human emotions, human reactions, but a physical reaction will happen in the next pose. Okay, and this is what I did. So it is a really strong punch that I wanted to show the how the hip of the magenta rig would move back. So it moves back and rotates at the same time. Rotates, of course, in the same orientation that is being punched. The spine has a big rotation as well, and the head has the biggest one. Okay, so this would be a strong physic physics reaction to this punch. Okay, one thing that you can do if you want, of course, is creating, let's say, one frame or two frames after the contact pose to have some control of this reaction. You don't have to do this right now because this is first the blocking. So we only have the basic poses. You could create this pose in the breakdown stage, in the in between poses stage, okay? Like in between key poses. So, but let's say I'm gonna give you this as a tip because if you guys get there, um, I could go to my frame 15 has the contact pose, which is the what I was telling you, and let's say the 17, we could have something like this. I'm gonna do really simple so you guys can see, but you can get the idea. I'm not going crazy into details, but you guys can see what I mean. So this would be a first reaction to the punch, okay? So for this pose, the head would definitely rotates a lot. So it's very a lot of rotation and very fast at a first moment. Maybe something like this. And the spine would start, remember it's a chain, so the head is the first reaction, the spine would start, and the hip would have just a little bit. I can move the hip. So I could even exaggerate, like the head and the first moment would have a strong reaction to this, a big rotation. Because when you have a punch or something like this, I'm going to make the head. The head would get a punch, it would go to an extreme, and then it would come back a little bit. So let's say in frame 20, when I have this, it's not the extreme pose. The extreme would happen on the first frame. Okay, so it will kind of go back a little bit. So let me select everything again. Just create a key here and change this to start. So this is what would happen in the first moment. You would have neutral pose, punch, the right after, and then this. Okay? Of course, this pose has absolutely no details. What I mean is even arms would start having some reaction, you know? Everything would react a little bit in some way, but it's a chain. Oh, I'm using frame 18. I'm sorry. So this will happen in frame 17. But anyway, you guys got the idea, right? So yeah, good luck on your assignments. Don't go too crazy. Don't make more than two attacks, okay? Uh, the rig that is being attacked at the end, it should be on the ground. So the character would pass off or whatever, would be knocked out. And yeah, so keep going. And next class we're gonna do one-on-ones, and I will see how your works are going. If you want to send me by email, you can do that. It's up to you. I will answer as soon as I can. Okay, and try to do the inverse here. Try to do the opposite we did in parkour. Try to come up with an idea. Let's say a punch and a kick or a big jump over whatever you want to do. It's up to you. You can go as crazy as you want, but try to come up with an idea first and then look for a reference. And a reference in this case, you're not going to find a reference that will be 100% matching because of course, you had the idea first, and then you're going to look for reference. So the reference will help you. Let's say you have a reference for a punch in your face, a punch in the rig face. That is what is happening here. And maybe you have a reference for a big jump, or maybe you have a reference for a kick on the stomach. So you know what I mean? The reference will be only parts, only areas of the reference will be useful for you. This is totally understandable. I mean, when you work on a studio, this is what is going to happen. You're going to have you're going to look for a reference that will help you with parts or areas of your animation because client will have an idea, supervisor will have an idea, even you will have an idea, but you're not going to find a reference unless you record yourself, of course. But it's usual to not have a reference that is 100% entirely useful. Okay, you guys got the idea. So good luck and let's keep in touch. Thank you.